All right, we are live. Hey, David. Hey, everyone. How is everybody doing today?
Hey, hey.
Surprise, it's me and not Kate today. I know you guys probably did expect it because she's been saying it on social media, but she is in the snow apocalypse 2022 in New York and just got power back this morning, but does not yet have Wi-Fi. So I'm taking over today. I'm in charge.
Can you imagine life without Wi-Fi? I don't think I could even get through half a day, or I couldn't wake up. My alarm clock's run by Wi-Fi. I wouldn't even be able to get out of bed. Oh my gosh.
Don't let her fool you though, because she uses her phone as a hotspot. So she's been online this whole time. They got a generator. She's been online. She just can't do video stuff. So that's why.
There we go.
Awesome. So guys, thanks for joining today. We are here for another installment of How to Position Anything with our wonderful, probably number one friend, David. So David Allison, I didn't do this before. Shame on me. I'm going to pull up his LinkedIn. I'll drop it in the chat for everybody. David, go ahead and tell us some cool stuff about you and about everything. It's
oh my God, about me and about everything. Okay, well, we'll start back in 1965 when I was born. And that's maybe not what you meant. So I'll fast forward to the Valuegraphics project and the research we're doing. And the reason we're here today, which is to talk about what I think might be a giant omission in this series. We've talked about one magnetic value every time we get together. And I was looking at the list getting ready and I was like, oh my gosh, we haven't talked about number one. We haven't talked about the most important, motivating, magnetic, diabolical value for all of the American population. So I thought that's what we would do today. But in case anybody's new and joining us for the first time, I'm going to just set this up just a little bit, tell you what Valuegraphics is all about, how it's and how it came to be. And it all sort of just started with this realization in the marketing world that we're all just trying to get some people to make a decision. That's what we're all here doing, all of us. And so it kind of is important to understand how do people make decisions, because if that's what we're all waking up every morning trying to do, then we better understand what's going on with that. And so you start looking at behavioral science and you look at all the research that's been done all over the world on that topic about how do humans make decisions. And it all comes down to one simple thing, which is what we value. Our core values determine everything we do in our lives. Every emotion, behavior, decision, whether you know you're doing it or not, it all stems back to what your values are. So it's like Eureka, cartoon Eureka bubble. We needed a way to detect the shared values for a target audience. If we're going to use this fact that values determine how people behave and what we're trying to do is get people to do something, we need to know what a whole target audience has in common, what their values are. So we've now done 750,000 surveys around the world, 750,000 surveys. 180 countries were accurate, 152 languages. And after all that number crunching, you can imagine how many spreadsheets and how much data there was there. The answer, there's 56. There's only 56 core human values that drive every human's life. We are all marching to a set of notes on a song sheet that there's only 56 things that make us do the things we do. Now, the other part of this that's cool, the bonus information that came out of this, other than identifying those 56 things, is that we've proven with all the statistics from around the world now, it's more accurate than you need for a Harvard PhD, that demographics are stupid and demographics are broken. And if you start trying to target Gen Z or millennials or boomers or men or women or people who earn $100,000 a year, you're at best getting about a 10% return on investment. That's a 90% fail for using demographics, which is a great thing to know, because the more we keep using those demographic stereotypes, the more we're perpetuating the myths that fuel racism and sexism and ageism and homophobia. So demographics are broken. They don't work. And instead, we should be using values to understand each other, because it'll be better for our businesses and better for the world. So today,
hold on. So David, you're telling me that I am not going to just keep, the things that I have in common with all the other millennials are just that I love avocado toast.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. And it's that if you take any one of those demographic labels anywhere in the world, male versus female, age band, education, one child on the floor while you're zooming, like all those kind of demographic labels. The people inside those labels, those tribes, they only agree with each other on average about 10.5% of the time. Now, some are like 12 or 13, but some are 8 or 9. So just average it out. It's about 10% agreement within any cohort. So if you layer those on top of each other and say, my target audience is 18 to 24-year-old men who have a college degree, that's 3 groups of people who agree with each other about 10% of the time. You just laid them on top of each other. And now there's a bigger group of people who agree with each other about 10% of the time. And then you go and spend $1 million trying to get them to do stuff. And how can you target a group of people who disagree on everything 90% of the time? This is why we waste so much money in marketing, just kind of go scattershot our budgets and hope we hit somebody out there.
Pray and pray, yeah.
Yeah. And then you add psychographics. You're like, well, I know my customers. We look at their past the data out of the CRM, and we have studies of how their eyes move around on a website and what their shopping cart empty rate, and all that stuff is cool. All that psychographic data. But you know what? It all comes from the same place, which is the past. Because as soon as you can write that stuff down, it's historical. So we have this historical data and these loose descriptions of groups of people that don't tell us anything about who they are or what they have in common. And then we spend millions of dollars thinking that we understand our target audience, when in fact the missing link is to understand what they care about. You know, at the risk of offending anybody, it's as simple as like, what the fuck do these people care about? Right. Tell them that you are going to deliver that stuff and you're golden. It's that easy. So now we have the data that can, for any target audience, say, this is what they care about. And if we're talking about everybody in the United States of America, the number one most important thing.
Ooh, drum roll.
Drum roll, sound effects. Kate does a better drum roll than me.
I'm sorry. I'm terrible.
No, you did a great one. I'm terrible at it. I need to learn to. So yeah, the number one most important value in America, which is absolutely shocking in some respects, it's even more important than family, which you think would be number one, because it is in many parts of the world. But in America, the number one most important value is belonging. Now, there's only one other place on the planet where belonging is more important, and that's in Oceania. So our friends in Australia and New Zealand and the islands around there, they have a little bit more belongingness in their system than Americans do. But 89% of the population of the United States says belonging is their number one value. So this is a really fascinating thing in light of, I live in Canada, so I kind of watch what's going on in the United States as a very concerned, very small neighbor to this great big giant friends that are down to the south of us. And there's a lot of fighting going on right now. A lot of people who belong to a tribe of one sort or another, and I'm on this side or I'm on that side, and we hear the stories about how families are falling apart over these tribes. Belonging more important than family. I will divorce Aunt Sally if she doesn't agree with me because she's being an idiot and she's stupid. So it sort of shows up in the data. Belongingness more important than family. But if we're talking about this from a marketing perspective, this opens a huge, juicy, train of thought here. A juicy train of thought. That's
my new favorite way to describe it.
Yeah, juicy train of thought. Belongingness can be triggered in all kinds of ways. People want to feel, if you're trying to attract them to your product or service or brand, they want to feel like they're part of it. They don't want to feel like they're on the outside and you're on the inside. They want to be part of it. So how can you even just simply change your pronouns? We talk a lot about what are our pronouns these days. How can you be talking about we and us when you're talking to your consumers and your prospects? How can you be using words in marketing copy or social media copy where you're being inclusive and making people feel like they're part of the family and thanking them for their support? And, there's all kinds of really fun little behavioral science tricks you can play with people to make them feel like they belong. Just simple things like remembering their names. Simple things like referring to them as a friend. I have a great story from the very first time I went to England, I was hanging out with friends of the family, and we went into a pub. And up on the wall behind the bartenders, pub, like, British pubs, this thing was like 250 years old or something like that. And up on the wall behind the bartender, there were all these beer mugs, and they had initials on them. I said, "What's that?" He says, "Oh, well, our regular customers, it's their mugs." Like, wait a minute, they get their own mug? I said, "Yeah, well, I mean, if you've been coming here for 25 years, you get a mug, we put your initials on it, and when you come in, we hand you." How could you ever go to another pub ever?
You
again?
can't. I have there are two bars in my hometown that actually did that. It's like the thing.
Yeah.
It's huge, and it really like gets you that what's the word? Obviously the belonging, but that loyalty to it. Absolutely.
So I think as marketers, we've always had a sort of sneaky suspicion that this is the case. We do things like loyalty clubs, right? So you are a platinum member, a princess member, emerald, gold, something, something member, whatever. But I don't know that we necessarily position those things in a way that makes it about belonging. We're making it about thanking. We're making it about rewarding. But this is an opportunity to bring those people in. I had a phone call with a woman, a friend of mine who's a really high-powered financial person, and her level of loyalty with the airline that she's part of. One of the things they did, she's way up at the top, some kind of crazy platinum princess, something. They sent COVID tests to her, so she didn't have to go find her own. They were like, "We know this is part of your travel thing, and you're part of our family. So, just like you get some COVID tests and you give them to your family, we're giving them to you." So she got a little FedEx package with some COVID tests and a little slip that said, "If you need more, just let us know." The airline just sent them out. Didn't have to request them or anything. They just arrived. Wow. Because that's how you treat people who belong. That's how you treat people who are part of, and not outside from, that you're trying to treat. You don't want to treat them as customers. You want to treat them, talk to them, deal with them, interact with them as if you're all in this together. That horrible phrase that we've been hearing for too much for the last couple of years.
Yeah, definitely. And not to toot our own lately horn, but I think that we do a pretty good job of that.
Oh, good Lord. I mean, okay, so this is generally a point where Kate throws out, okay, if we're going to use belonging to market X, and
I can think of something. I thought of something before. I had it up here, and it's not down to Kicks. It's water bottles, reusable water bottles.
Reusable water bottles, like this one.
Yes, like that one.
Which is blue because Valuegraphics blue. It's all about blue.
Blue also, actually.
So belongingness and water bottles. What if you sold them in a way where oh, that one's stumping me for half a second.
I kind of have one.
Okay, cool. Yeah. What do you got?
Maybe you could have it so when you buy the new water bottle, it comes in the package. It has like coordinates for a specific trailhead, and it has you to meet up with people that also bought that water bottle. So it's like you're part of a group. You are belonging to this group with these other, I don't know, hikers or something like that.
I like that. I think that's a great one. I think even reporting stats back. So you know how when you go into the gym and you can fill up your water bottle, and sometimes the fountain will say how many plastic water bottles not gone in. So it counts like 8 billion plastic bottles have not gone into a landfill because you filled up your bottle here. Well, what if that was a constant, like once a week, you get a note saying that because of everybody who's bought the XYZ brand of water bottle, we've been calculating it, and because there's a chip in the cap or something. And so together we have prevented X billion plastic bottles from being thrown into the landfill.
I love it.
There's your sense of, yeah, you're part of something bigger than just yourself. Anyone who's watching today who's old enough to remember the sitcom Cheers. I mean, the ultimate expression of this is Norm walks into the bar, and what happens? Everybody goes, Norm, because he knows where he's where he belongs. He knows that he's home now. So yeah, belonging. If you want to boost the bejesus out of the way people pay attention to you as a marketer, a copywriter, social media, strategy, even just at the level of strategy, figure out how you can do anything you can possibly think of around your product, your culture, your marketing, your messaging, your communication. you can't put too much belongingness into the way you interact with the audiences that you'd like to engage.
Awesome. I think that this was a great one. I'm really glad that we finally, don't know how it finally only is happening now, that we finally touched on this one, David.
I agree.
I'm going to pop your, I know we're a little over time. I don't think we have ever stuck to 10 minutes on this.
No, it's bait and switch. It's definitely bait and switch. Yeah, 10 minutes, everybody, just 10 minutes. And then, yeah, welcome to Planet David, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
I am going to pop your LinkedIn into the chat once again for everybody. And yeah, I don't know if you have anything that you want to announce or plug right now, David.
Oh, well, that was a fun little opener. Thank you. So yes, my new book will be out in June. It's called The Death of Demographics.
I love it.
And I guess the reason people might want to think about paying attention, because I'm certainly not going to be shy when I start to promote that, is there's a quiz in there that you can administer to your own target audience and figure out a good start anyway to understanding how to use value graphics in the particular way for your target audience based on our 750,000 surveys from around the world. So I hope that that's going to get a whole lot of companies to start thinking in a values-driven way. Because as I said at the beginning, this isn't just about boosting results for marketers. This is about getting rid of some of these problems in the world that demographics are just reinforcing and perpetuating and forcing us to face these divisive ideas about looking at each other as other all the time. We can make a serious dent in that if we just change the way we look at each other. That's it. That's all we got to do. Just look at each other a little different. Yeah, that's it. That's it. All we got to do.
Awesome. Well, David, thank you so much. Everyone, next week, I don't remember what the session is. I think it is me going over the Lately and Hootsuite integration, which is really cool. So tune in for that. David, thank you. Always a pleasure.
Thank you. Likewise.
And, we will talk again soon, everyone. Thank you so much.